Hey guys, what's up? This is Stock Retail coming back to you. Just want to talk to you about some developments in the Allegheny case against, as far as I'm concerned, against me and against you and against anyone who has shares of APE in particular, but also AMC because it will absolutely impact both. And so, I've been pretty fired up, as you kind of know about this, and just I'm committed to digging in, doing DD. I know apes are going to figure this out. Frankly, I feel pretty good about where things sit, but still, I like to say the internet always wins. Like these guys like to think they can pull fast ones on us, but the internet wins. Apes are going to continue to dig. There's millions of us, and we share information with each other. So I just want to share a few things that I saw today. This one's going to be real quick. This isn't some big presentation or anything, and I'll end up linking a couple things and then bringing back home why I believe this is such a big deal. So let's actually just kind of jump. So first off, it was a little bit of legwork to kind of find the documents, but some folks out there had them. And so I'll link those in the video description. So if you don't know, there's really two. There is the one from Allegheny, and then so it's basically a PDF of their filing. And then there is actually another one from a couple of other plaintiffs. And again, in my opinion, these are people, first off, actually, think about the fact that these two cases came out within like a day or two of each other. So that's a little sketchy at best. This is classic short and distort, in my opinion. I think they're trying to, it's kind of from the playbook of shorts, try to bog a company down in lawsuits, try to stop positive activity from happening. And so, no surprise to me that negative people, I'd like to call them some names. I'm going to maybe be thoughtful here and hold myself accountable, but, people who engage in nefarious activities collude with each other, in my opinion. And so these cases coming hot off the heels of each other, there's no surprise there. I think, I won't kind of go too deep in kind of what's been going on with Allegheny. I think that's been sort of covered, especially if you're on Twitter. But I don't personally think there's much merit to these. I shared in two other videos. In particular, look at the one that kind of, I think it's the most recent one I did, just talking about why there's no merit. You can look at AMC's Articles of Incorporation, AMC's bylaws, so that those provide the authority and governance for the board itself. They have the authority to give preferred equity shares voting rights, which is what they did. And then that's also in their 2013 prospectus. So I highlight all that in the other video. I sourced that. If you're new to my channel, something I say pretty often here is, around here we don't trust bros. So in other words, you need to fact check, you need to do DD, don't just take what I say. So usually I'll provide links and screenshots and kind of show you where I'm getting information so that you don't have to trust me. You can fact check it for yourself and also learn how to read these things for yourself and learn where to find them. So I'll link these documents. But the key, there's one in, this is the one that kind of made its way around Twitter. There's something I really noted here. Am I in the right doc? I think I might be in the wrong one. Maybe that was right. Sorry guys, I'm kind of doing this live on the fly. Okay, yeah, here it was. So just look at this language real carefully here. Subject to the approval of the court. So what a lot of people, and I'll say the negative players, were doing is they were quick to dunk with this and say, look at this, AMC is going to have to wait till April 27th to even do the conversion. So there's kind of an injunction these guys are seeking that basically, you can see the language here is the vote will still proceed and that AMC would maybe have to wait till April 27th to do the conversion. Well, I'm sure that's also a stall tactic these guys are seeking to continue to kind of drum up support for their actions. So I guess I'll just focus on this subject to approval. We're going to have to wait and find out. I think that's one key too, is like, negative news and fake news spreads across the internet in seconds. And I not necessarily believe things until it's really sourced. I want to hear from the AMC team. I want to get a document straight from the court. And so I'm just of the mind to let this proceed. I believe, again, that, these guys being the board have this buttoned down. I mean, again, it's just common business law that a board operates under its articles of incorporation and the bylaws that govern the board. And those have given the board authority, so I don't even know what kind of case anyone could possibly think they have other than, again, short and distort. And here's why I'm highlighting that too. I'm not going to show you who. You can just kind of try to figure it out for yourself. It's not hard. But basically, all of the usual suspects of AMC haters, attackers, short and distort crew, they were all sharing this real quickly this morning and yesterday. And, I think that should also tell you which team is doing this. There's a crew that you could just kind of see their network revealing itself in many ways. You know who's talking to whom, you know who's sharing documents with each other, and supporting each other's, I'm just going to keep calling it short and distort case. And, justice will catch up to them. Apes keep records. Apes have memories. I've got plenty of screenshots of what people have done. So do other apes. And there's been a lot of digging on the internet. People know things that maybe sometimes you short and distorters don't think we know. So apes have records on you guys, and that'll all come out in due time. But here's all I'll say. If it's the short and distorters and the whole crew of frogs and tigers and all that, go watch my video on that, that are pushing this narrative and jumping on it quick, I'll tell you a little story, actually, that kind of highlights the point. Shorts aren't worried about being right. They're just worried about causing confusion and doubt. And that's why it's called FUD, right? Fear, uncertainty, and doubt. When APE went live, I remember I had done the DD, and some of us, I wasn't the only one. Obviously, other people had found, too, that there would be no options chain on APE. And so we had all published that, a few of us who kind of DD apes. I've shown you guys before where I have a Reddit on that. There's a lot of discussion on Twitter. I even hosted a space call and kind of went through the DD. And then, if you remember, some of the brokers started basically posting the shell, as it were, like a holding shell for the options chains for APE. And then a bunch of these short and distorters were getting all over the internet saying, oh, these idiot apes, how stupid they are. They're all wrong all the time. Look, there's an options chain. And I kind of sat and was like, nah, I know I'm right. I'd done the DD. And so the rest of us kind of pushed back and said, hey, brokers, what doing? The what with W-U-T. Anyway, and then it turned out we were right. So in that case, sometimes it's important to have your conviction. If you've done the DD, you know what's going on. Let someone call you an idiot all they want because you already know they're wrong. And so these same people who went all over the internet and frankly made themselves look stupid and said, hey, there is an options chain. They hadn't done their DD, or frankly they maybe had and wanted to spook you all, because that's just the name of the game. Is all they need to do is cause that fear, uncertainty, and doubt. So why do I bring that up? In this case, we haven't heard anything from AMC. We haven't really heard from the court, in my opinion. There's language on these files that just says, subject to approval. Well, that sure doesn't sound like some kind of court ruling to me. And these guys are just off and running because it sounds scary, it sounds bad. And that's all they need. They just need the sound bite, which frankly is damaging to our finances, right? Like if you are an APE holder or even an AMC holder, I think these guys are opening themselves up to a whole lot of APE lawsuits when this is all said and done. Okay, a couple other points on the lawsuit itself and why. I want to make 2 points. One, that it's very, very important for you to vote, and I'll kind of talk about why, related to this lawsuit. And then the other is just why these guys are doing this. And I'll kind of reference other videos, and then I'll link those up in the video description in case you want to go check those out. So first of all, why it's really, really important you vote. When the proxy materials first came out, I had even shared, you can see that Adam and the team had put language in the proxy filing with all caps. It's in bold. They're basically yelling like, we really, really, really encourage you to vote. Here's what I can see developing, and now I am no legal expert, so here's just a random dude giving you some thoughts on a legal proceeding, so I could easily be wrong. But what I can see developing, the case being made, especially as I read these documents, they're trying to establish that they have a class they're representing, a class that's been harmed. In a class action lawsuit, you have to have a group of people that's been harmed, and so they've got to demonstrate that. But here's the thing. I believe, and for example, non-scientific polls I've seen on Twitter, very non-scientific, of course, but we have, say, 500 people voting, and it's like 93% saying they're going to vote yes, in a poll on Twitter. So, and I've shared before why I'm a yes vote. I'll kind of hit that again in a second. But in this video, in no way am I saying how you should vote, but I'm saying it's very, very, very important that you vote all your shares if it's possible. I realize some of you are in international brokers, maybe they haven't delivered the proxy materials. That's an issue, and I understand that, and I can see how frustrating that would be. But if you're able to vote your shares, I believe what that will do, because I really believe that a very, very high majority of apes are voting yes. Now, I use that word believe, it's an opinion. But I believe that a very high majority of apes are voting yes, and therefore I believe that would really damage their case to say they somehow represent AMC shareholders. If upwards of 90% of AMC shareholders have voted yes, then you can't say you're representing us. That's ridiculous. So I'm not asking you how, which way to vote. I want to respect your sort of autonomy, your authority, but I want to really, really, really encourage you to vote, because I think it will demonstrate what's really going on here. So do that. Note that they're trying to get the vote to count separately, APE votes and AMC votes. That's fine, but I would still say just really make sure you vote. Make sure you vote both your AMC and your APE shares. I have done that. I have two accounts. I have a retirement account and a non-retirement account, so I basically had to vote 4 times. Vote both of those accounts for APE and both of those accounts for AMC. So also make sure you're looking at both. And then finally, why I believe they're pursuing this. I have shared in several videos how access to capital ultimately is what beats the shorts. Shorts want a company to run out of money, capital. Well, what has APE been? It's been access to capital. Adam's been able to sell some for cash. And then I've demonstrated in other videos, I can show you the math on how a yes vote, and this is why I'm a yes vote, ends up giving Adam a whole lot more access to capital, and at a cheaper sort of per share. He has to sell less shares to get more money if we give him this yes vote. And so I'll link that. In that case, obviously I'm sharing opinion on why I'm a yes. But please, please do educate yourself, inform yourself. If you still end up disagreeing with me, fine, but at least you've taken the time to see that if you're a no vote, you're actually voting for higher dilution, more dilution, and you're voting for AMC to be less strong in terms of a capital structure. That's why I'm a yes vote, because a strong company beats the shorts. That's my thesis, that's my opinion. And so that's ultimately why I think these guys are fighting, because if they can stop this conversion, they make AMC be more dilutive. They try to cut Adam's knees off, or cut him off at the knees. I kind of mixed up that saying. And they try to make it so he has less access to capital. Well, of course, that's what shorts want, which is also why they're now fighting in the court for that. So I just really hope, if you're any kind of real ape, you're any kind of positive ape, that you see what's happening. You see through it and see behind the curtain. The fact that these guys are going to court, the fact that it's the short and distort crowd that's pushing this narrative, and the fact that it would mean less strong capital structure for AMC should tell you everything you need to know on if you want to beat the shorts, where you should vote. And again, that's my opinion. All right, so that's it. I'll link up a couple things, but basically to summarize, I believe some pretty bad players are trying to mess with us, and frankly, apes, I believe within every legal and ethical means available, we should push back hard. It's time for us to show our power. So let's go.